Welcome to the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast, your home for all things football at Waldorf University, the best small college football experience in America. Hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson, from the secret gridiron bunker beneath Volsdorf Field. Now, let's meet the captains of today's podcast.
Well, welcome everyone to this edition of the Waldorf Gridiron Podcast. Again, you're just getting me and Troy tonight. We're, the kids, they finished up with finals, and a lot of them are on the road. Communicated with DQ McCobb a little bit today, and of course he apologized right away, because DQ is one of the most humble, beautiful humans that walks the planet.
We established that.
Sorry, Coach, I'm home. Well, don't be sorry for being.
He's already home.
Yeah, don't apologize for being warm. So he's down there in Bradenton with his mom and his siblings and other family and friends, and good for him. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit, and you'll notice this drops. This didn't drop Friday morning.
That's my fault.
No, it's not anybody's fault, Troy. It's just one of those. That's the way the cookie
crumbled.
It did. It crumbled.
There was a conference I went to, and it just occurred to me about midweek that I'm like, well, how are we going to edit and do a podcast if I'm in Des Moines and you guys are up here and all that stuff? So
we got it done. We got it done. And so welcome everybody, and thank you so much again. The Waldorf Warrior football team, they finished their season last Saturday on the 12th of November with an unfortunate loss, but still a great season. 7-4 overall, 3-3 in the conference. And the game at Dakota State up there in Madison, South Dakota, just about 50 minutes north of Sioux Falls. For those of you that
beautiful Sioux Falls,
that
you
the Sioux
had the opportunity to spend some time in Sioux Falls.
Spent some time there with my wife and I did, and that was always a good time. We did an Airbnb just right next to downtown and got to explore the downtown and freeze to death.
Oh, so, it was cold.
Oh, it was cold. So that's story one of the Dakota State game. It was just damn cold. And I know that Jacob Kent, our athletic trainer, head trainer, he had contacted their AD and their training staff saying, "Are you guys going to have heaters on the sideline?" And they said, "Absolutely not." So before the game started, they got their heater set up over on their sideline. And as the game started, they brought one over for us. So shenanigans, as far as I'm concerned. And
really? So they said they weren't going to have heaters. We're not going to have heaters.
That's what, and who knows? It could have been miscommunication. Yeah. I'm not saying that Dakota State did anything nefarious. I wouldn't allege that.
Maybe they misinterpreted. They say, no, we're not going to have heaters on your side. So if you want heaters, you have to bring them.
They may have. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, they very graciously brought over one, and we only melted one of the capes.
Okay.
And nobody got hurt. So, I mean, hey, big win for us over there. But unfortunately, it was not a win. It was a 13-0 loss for the Warriors.
Yeah, we got shut out.
But I'll tell you what. TJ Owens, who there was I think. And again, not knowing, because I don't see a depth chart and I don't know what the coaches are doing, but I think Carter Bruckoff was probably QB2, because he's taking reps, and obviously TJ is too. We know that Coop is out. He's got a shoulder injury that he needs to get repaired.
Probably gonna.
So we bring him back next year, man.
I probably have to. I don't know if he's gonna have to go on the knife or not, but I'm assuming that is serious enough that it might need to get repaired that way. There's enough time between now and then to get that corrected.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I'll tell you what, Coop is he's tougher than nails. He played quite a few games with that injury.
Yeah,
it probably didn't help him, but at the same time, he goes hard.
I think that Carter, what might have been two, he came in like you said in the Iowa Wesleyan game, and he took a few reps there. I think he had 6 downs, like we talked about last episode, but came out again, and then TJ came in. I know that there was a concern that if he had taken a snap in this game, then he would have not been a redshirt.
Right. It would have. So and it's one of those. So you got TJ's got a broken hand, obviously
he's got a broken hand too.
Got a broken hand.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of the obviously Carter was there, Sam Christensen was there. So we had plenty of quarterbacks traveling with us, we thought. And again, it's the battle of, do you blow Carter's red shirt?
Well, and I'm not the expert on that.
I'm not either. And I trust our coaches. They're smart. And they're going to do what's best for our team in the long run. Get into the Dakota State game.
I think the answer is maybe. Maybe you do. I think because to me, and I wasn't a quarterback, and and I didn't play in college. I just know that, like, God, if you have the opportunity, you snatch it if you can. Like if the coach is like, get your helmet on and you go play, he went out there and he did it.
You bet.
Against Iowa Wesleyan. Did fine in my opinion. He looked clean out there. He threw an interception to end his sixth, but no big deal there. He looked good. You can tell the difference when high school quarterback comes out, gets a whole season of practice, and then has a line that has the ability to move people in front of him. He had time to make decisions, and he did a good job. He could have gone in, and so maybe that was, but maybe there was a concern. Maybe they have a plan for him down the road. So it's hard to say.
Well, yeah, and then so early in the game. TJ's carrying the ball, and he gets wrapped up, spinning around, and a kid from Dakota just very obviously targets him. Helmet contact, dropped his head, and plowed him. Took him. I mean, he didn't lose consciousness or anything, but he rung his bell. Rung his bell good. He did kind of. I think he might have tried to go out one more time, and he just couldn't do it. I mean, he was seeing too many things. And, they went through the concussion protocol, and of course, he wants to play. So he's, I don't know if TJ was lying to Jacob or not. Like, no, I'm good, bro. But anyway, so then now we're not going to kill Carter's red shirt. TJ, our 2 or 3 guy, gets taken out by a call that they could not have called right in front of the official. I was standing literally 15 feet away from TJ when he gets hit by this kid.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was intentional or not, it was targeting. And I mean, helmet contact, dropped his head, boom, hits him. Well, I'll just tell you, Troy, that I didn't say a lot of Christian things.
Yeah, well,
Now, I have said things on the sideline before, and I don't have that right to do that. I'm not a coach.
Yeah.
But I've said things before like, oh, you're not going to call the hold.
Yeah.
And I'll get an official to turn around and look at me and say, watch it. Yep. Thank you for the check. Yes, sir.
Right.
Because they're not going to take it from the players. They're definitely not going to take it from some schlep standing on the sideline.
Right.
Making sure that everybody has, mouthpieces. That's all.
Yeah. Well, they got to hear it from the audience.
So anyway, I was loud. I was voicing my displeasure quite in earnest.
Yeah.
And got to the point where I wasn't really relenting. And I didn't think I was being that loud, but my point was that if you miss the call, you miss the call, but for God's sakes, can you at least have our kids live through this?
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to call something like that, I don't care that they didn't kick the guy out. I don't care that they didn't call.
Yeah.
But 99 times out of 100, that official that is literally between me and TJ watching the play happen and didn't make the call, and I start freaking out. Everybody was, so there's a lot of yelling, but I don't know which kid it was, but it wasn't a coach, but somebody grabbed the back of my sweatshirt and just kind of pulled me back because I was being a little loud and they didn't want me to get a sideline violation or anybody else for that.
That's your birthday weekend. You can't be rolling into
and you know what?
Like that.
I knew I was right only because that official was too limp to turn around and tell me to shut up.
Okay.
Because he knows, and in the back of his mind, he's going, "Ooh, I really blew that call. We really could have got that kid hurt." So the officiating was subpar, and now officiating's part of the game.
It is.
I've always said that.
It is, right. Yeah.
However, it felt intentional. Some of the things that were going on out there, and again, that's not why we lost the game.
Correct.
That is not why we lost the game. I'm not blaming it on the officials.
Yeah.
But there were things that were going on that was just disgusting.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's not why you get shut out.
Let's be honest. Those officials aren't going to be listening to this podcast. And if they are, hey, do your job, dude.
Yeah,
seriously.
I bet they are.
You made your $125 or whatever you got for freezing your butt off out there.
They're mad now. They're like we're off. We're going to no more downloads from those.
I have no idea what those guys were thinking, but they were poor.
Well, it's hard to I'm not going to, you were there. I unfortunately didn't make the game in person, but I watched it on the phone. As I was I listened to it on the phone as I was driving.
And God bless Sam Christensen steps up.
Yeah.
And he hasn't taken a snap all week. There's really not a lot of preparation for him. He knows the playbook. He's a smart kid.
Mm-hmm.
But was he ready to step into that role? At some regard, yes. You don't go to a game and go, oh, gosh, I hope I don't get in. No, Sam's ready to play.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, could you pick a colder night where you can't feel your hands?
Yep.
And just, nothing went our way. Credit to Dakota State. they took advantage of some opportunities, but I'll tell you what, our defense played a stellar game.
There's a reason that it's only 13-0.
Yeah, correct.
And they, Dakota State got a lot better since we smoked them in, back in September, 42-17.
Yeah.
They remembered that, and they got better, and they might have had some folks on the injury list, but not like we did, and it made a big difference for us. It's made a big difference, in all honesty, since Dickinson State. When Coop got injured, I think he dislocated his shoulder a couple of times, maybe,
yep.
And in that game, and you just saw that it wasn't there for Valley. It really wasn't there for Iowa Wesleyan. He played for like maybe a quarter, and came out
2 or 3 series, and then boom, he dislocated it for a third time, or at least injured it. I don't know if it was just. I'm not a doctor.
He got hit pretty, and then he couldn't get back in. But you could even tell that Cooper, he could not throw. The way he did at the beginning of the season, he could still get it down range.
Yeah.
But, like against, for instance, Valley City, he could still get it down range, but we were playing him very carefully for obvious reasons.
Yep.
And we lost that game 14-35. We'll come back to it if we want. But like that game, we looked at it and go, you can't play a guy like Jordan Cooper half-ass, pardon the expression. But like if you do that, that's his strength, is being able to go and be unpredictable. Like he can run the playbook, and if he needs to scramble, he'll scramble and he'll knock you on your can. If you take that part out of the equation, you're missing a lot. And I think that was pretty clear.
That's exactly what more than likely what happened. And the coaching staff, Coach Paramore, Coach Ani, Coach Finley, sitting around trying to figure out, okay, because Jordan wasn't gonna. I'm not playing, Coach. My shoulder.
I know.
Hurts. It was no. I'm gonna go. And so, how do you use him and don't hurt him?
Yeah, well, that you could see he was playing pretty soft. He got through the entire game at Valley City. He played the whole game. However, he was very weak, and he wasn't weak. He didn't have the shoulder strength, the arm throwing strength. They didn't hardly run any pass. It was mostly a ground game. We weren't tremendously successful with our ground game. Obviously, we lost that game. But also, when he did throw, he threw sidearm. He does have a little bit of sidearm,
gunslinger
anyway. But he was a lot more sidearm because he has to keep it low. Yeah, right. And towards the end of the game, if you remember Valley City, Andy, he started perking up a little bit, whether he should have or not, and started playing.
Yeah.
Cooper style, playing, holding the keeper, knocking into people, and I know it had to be just driving Paramore nuts, because I don't think that's what they were calling. I don't think he was doing it obtrusively. I think he was just doing what he needed to do, because we were already behind at that point.
Yep.
So tough situation with our QBs. I mean, we'll talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, and so now you got our coaching staff. They're out there on the hunt. They're few of them are down at the Iowa High School state tournament down at the Unidome, and hey, congratulations to the West Hancock Eagles on a great season. Unfortunately, didn't end the way you want it to, but I'll tell you what, I watched that game against Grundy Center. Mm-hmm. That Grundy Center is a damn good football team. I think from what I'd seen in the semis and everything else, that's the only team that could have even possibly beat West Hancock. But great coaching. They had West Hancock dialed in pretty well. And I'll tell you what, West Hancock coaching is also great. And it's one of those that they just always had an answer for whatever West Hancock was trying to do. And it had to have been frustrating, because West Hancock tried throwing the ball a little bit more to add some spark, and that's not their bread and butter. They're going to run it right up your throat. But man, Grundy Center was big.
Yeah.
On both sides of that line.
I don't think that's the first time those two schools have met in that arena.
No, not at all. Last year, this is the fourth time in a row that Grundy Center has been in the championship game, and this is the first time that they succeeded to be champions.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations to Grundy Center too, I guess. I was talking to Gary Ludwig. I spent a couple of days with Gary. Gary used to coach. He assisted Coach Dave Bullstor for 4 years. He was telling me all about that. We had interesting conversations and that type of thing. But, we talked about football a lot. And one of the things we mentioned was, Gary says, and I think he's right, that high school football is the purest form of football out there and the reason for that is you play with what you've got.
Yes.
And so the game is the game, and you have to go out and do whatever you can with the people that you have.
Very true.
That you can play. So interesting, the coaches for the Warriors they're hitting the road. They're out there. It's not like they just started picking up the phone. They've been working with recruits for quite a while and talking to people, and now they're hitting the road and going out and visiting them in person and seeing them. And the ones they couldn't get up here, on visit days, they're going out and meeting with folks and the usual thing. So they're going to find the right people, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that recruiting thing. But Waldorf and NAIA, that's another level of, you also have to play with what you got. And I'm going to say that what we need to go get is, and this is nothing against our men, that are right there, on the front line, but we need to gain some height and some weight on both our offense and defense line, just to make sure that we can put the playbook to the best possible use. And I think the coaches are out seeking out some money players.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Gould yesterday. I've spent some time in the locker room trying to put the season back together to get ready for next year already, spring ball even.
Yeah.
However, I was talking to Coach Gould a little bit, and he wants to find some gorillas to go on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't know if Austin Erdman is coming back yet.
Mm-hmm.
We really hope he does, but we lost Daquan McCobb.
Yep,
I'm sorry,
DQ.
DQ right there in the middle. So the thing is, Joe Halverson this year was a benefactor of, because Erdy's been he's been here for a while, and people know him. They know that he's got a motor, and he's a technician, and he's going to get in the backfield because he's an athlete, just pure and simple. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of moves. He's quick. So you got a lot of guys, you got a lot of teams that were, all right, we're going to have to double up on Erdman. We're going to have to double up on DQ, and then we can go a little bit light over on the other side. Then you put Halverson over there, and it's like, well, Jesus, now what?
Yeah, right.
So he's in the backfield all the time, because he's long, he's fast, he's super strong. So Joe kind of got that benefit. Now they were like, now what do we do? Well,
yeah, that's right. And also, really made it hard for the air game to some degree. Proof positive by how shut down the air raid, but that's because of all the people that we have in the backfield and the defense too. So very strong defense. Who are they gonna not throw to back there? Also changing, as we talked about last week.
We got Nico Page coming back. Nico's just a sophomore, and he gets a lot of reps, and he's got nothing but upside. He's going to get bigger, faster, and stronger. So it's not like we have to go find some people. No, we're gonna, but it's one of those. We got some quality coming up.
Yeah, Twan's still back there, and all that stuff. So yeah.
No, Will Strickland in the backfield.
He's coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and I'm not 100% sure about Kaysen Handel. He's I don't know if he's got a year of eligibility left or anything like that. Something makes me think that he does. I don't know anyway.
Yeah.
TD, we know that TD they finished up, and TD's probably back in Fernley, Nevada
already. I'm sure he's done.
Nico Marasco, they're in the middle. Nico, he was a goer. You got Jay Ray, you got Alex Atherton, you got all those guys. I think Alex has one more year of eligibility, and I saw on his Twitter something about 5th year ? And I said, yes, please.
Okay.
It'd be great to get a kid like Alex back. But yeah, we got a lot of kids coming back. You think about Keegan Handel. He's a true freshman. He got some playing time, got a sack, this year. So we got a lot of kids defensively coming up. Offensively, we're going to be doing pretty well. We got a lot of upside, coming out.
Yeah, we saw some new guns that appeared towards the end of the season.
We got Jeremiah Smith in the
core.
backfield,
For
on the defensive side.
Yep.
You still got Christian Giroux,
Yep.
Number 11 for the Warriors. He's only a sophomore.
I thought Laylon Spencer was seeing some. Was he seeing some time in the last couple of games? It seems like.
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, and it's one of those. It's hard for me to, unless I hear somebody's name. I know who dresses out and things like that. But yeah, we've got, and it sounds like Malik Adams might still have eligibility. I don't know if he's made that decision yet, and he's got some time, but spend the holidays with family and see if he's going to miss it because, he's a dangerous target.
Well, we do. The coaches have all expressed, and this is, like I said, it's not a dig against the guys that you've got in the trenches, but we need to get bigger. When we play teams, and we go, look, 7-4 is the record. We started off, we were just crushing. I think we were 6-1, like we were talking about, and then now we end our conference record. It splits at 3-3. So 50% or 500 records, not what you want to see in the conference.
No,
and we absolutely could have won those last two games that we played, and you know what, we could have won them all, but we didn't. And so I wondered today as I was driving back what it would be. Is there a montage here? Is there a musical montage that's just like and we're not going to do one, but I'm putting it together like you're folding the jerseys. I know you don't fold them, you hang them, but you're whatever, this is it. It's the close of the 22 season. You put it away, put it in a box, and it's getting closed up again because as emotional as it is for the seniors and their parents and to some degree the coaches and the players themselves, obviously the team. However, the 23 season started Monday.
It really did.
So,
and I haven't seen, I've been communicating with Coach Finley via text and stuff like that, just about different things. And he's on the road. They're all on the road.
Right.
And
that doesn't really end, does it? Till
no.
I mean, they're back a little bit more. Certainly by mid-February, they're back a lot, but even by the end of January, because people start. I think that people say where they're going in the first week of February. So
So we'll have that coming up in February, and it seems like a long ways away, but it's really not.
No,
you got 3 months out, man. And then we'll be staring down the dead of winter, but we'll be thinking about the spring.
Yeah, and it came fast. I mean, you think about it. We started thinking about we talked about the podcast in February of last year when we were planning the frozen tundra tournament, and then we said, okay, well, we'll start that the week prior to spring ball.
Yeah,
the spring ball game.
Yep,
and that's what we did. And so here we are.
Here we are. Yeah,
31 weeks later, and so hopefully folks enjoy it and they appreciate it. And we're doing good things here. It's going to be a little difficult to grab students the new schedule with Waldorf. In case you didn't know, Waldorf has innovated, and they have said, "Look, we want to see if it's appealing to our students, if they can take their finals just prior to Thanksgiving, and then from Thanksgiving through the rest of the holiday season, come back in January."
Yeah.
Locked and loaded and ready to roll out.
Absolutely. Well rested.
That's an incredibly long break. Obviously, our basketball players and our wrestlers don't get the same experience. In fact, I'll be announcing some basketball games into December, so they'll still be doing that. But yeah, well, we'll see how that works out. But that means we're going to have to do some phone interviews and reach out and grab some people online and whatever.
I'm just going through the roster, and there's so many great kids that are going to be stars here. Obviously, we talked about TJ Owens a little bit. TJ's, he's just a junior. He's a transfer. We still have Coop coming back. We've already talked to Coop, but I think Deontay Morgan. Number 15, he's a D-back for the Warriors. He's going to be doing some big things. We mentioned Sam Christensen, one of our quarterbacks. You start going through this list of kids, and we've got a lot of folks that we need to talk to. Roberto Morales, he's another huge one.
Yeah.
Aiden Davidson, Ladarian Henson, Samante Bowden from Algona. Samante got an injury late in the season during practice, but he's a true freshman. Antoine Jackson. I mean, I tell you what, I'm just looking through this like, oh yeah, we got to talk to this kid. We got to talk to this kid. But yeah, there's, one of my, Patrick Gook, I believe Guck is his last name. He's, I don't know where exactly Patrick is from. He's not from the United States specifically. He is from Poland.
Okay.
And he's what a great kid. He's a lot of fun to be around. So some of these guys, we'll bring them in. Jacorian Duncan. one of my favorites, I've got a few favorites on the O-line there, is Trevante George. He's pretty great. Jabari Carr Manning. And then everybody loves Briggs Hartley. Briggs got an injury, so he was out for the season, but we'll have to bring Cade back in. Cade's coming back next year. So yeah, there's just a whole lot of upside, folks. We like Reuben Griffith, another great kid. So we have a lot of kids that we can still talk to. And if I didn't mention your name, doesn't mean we're not talking to you. It just means that. So we can bring them in and talk about what's next for you. How are you going to get better? How are you going to make, how are you going to make it where Troy Thompson is saying your name on Saturdays next fall?
Yeah.
And I think they know.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was not a disappointing season. It did not end. We started the season off, 6-1, like we had talked about. We ended 1-3. That's not how you want to end, but there were circumstances outside of our control. And our coaches did the absolute best they could, but they're on like we talked about, they're on the road right now. They're trying to get horses for the stable.
Yeah. 7-4 is, we said it was tied for best. Actually, the best was 7-3. That was a year ago. Was it last year or 2 years ago? But it was, that was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 7-3 technically is the best record because we played fewer games. So 10 versus
11. And 7-3 a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coach Littrell was 7-3 once. They ended with number 23 in the nation at 7-3. I mean, obviously that didn't happen this year.
No.
But I'll tell you, and hey, by the way, Coach Littrell, head coach of Earl Warren High School down there, Tyler Chapa's his alma mater. They're playing tonight. This is Friday night. And I can't remember who they're playing, but the Texas high school football, I believe it's the 6A Division II state championship game. So yeah, or not championship game, but championship through the playoffs. So wish him luck and all that stuff. And we're going to get him on sometime just to talk about, once his world settles down after the playoffs and hopefully a state championship for him. But I got to be honest, they're also Papa Dave Handel, coach for Tomball. He's in that same division.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
wouldn't that be pretty cool?
That would be fun.
A Tomball versus, who do you root for? Recruits. That's who we root for.
Yeah, you recruit who's got the most recruits coming here. That's
I don't know how many Earl Warren kids we got here, but we got 5 kids from Tomball High School.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we'd probably have to tip our hat to Tomball.
Well, there you go. That's the answer. We'll take a quick look at the review of the season, just game by game, Andy. Yeah. Some sentiments about, we started out on August 13th. We had only been in practice for 2 weeks. They rolled in just at the very first week of August. They'd had like 9 days to get to know each other and start working on stuff. Then they played Iowa Central, which is, of course, a pretty strong community college team.
Extremely.
A lot of those players go on to Division I schools, and you could tell.
Yep.
So we got beat up a little bit by them. It was a scrimmage, so we learned a lot, and we'd always, like I said, we had not been, and we had a new offense, and we had some new things. So I guess those are the excuses. But you kind of looked at it, and we'd been talking about it at that point, for a couple of months, few months, or whatever, and then I was like, oh. Well, I mean, how's this going to ultimately work out?
Yeah.
And then you get to Briarcliff, but that's 2 full weeks later. So that we were still a little rough, but
a little rusty.
A huge improvement. 2 weeks with our players in practice, and by the 27th of August at Briarcliff, beautiful day, beautiful night for football.
Seth Oaks broke out.
Yes, he did. Yeah, got the special teams. Was it player that I can't.
Offensive player of the week. Yeah, he had that 77 yard. He had 2 touchdowns, one of them for 77 yards. On us.
Their locker room facility is a little wonky over there, isn't it?
Wonky is a good word. It's kind of one of those things. Like, I think that like 45 minutes before we got there, the janitor was taking the mops and brooms out. Like, here's your locker room,
this
guys.
Is where we put them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you guys, half the team was standing outside.
What's with all the cat litter on the floor?
Yeah,
yeah.
Then, we beat Briarcliff 42-24, non-conference game, first one of the year. That felt good. That was a validation of where we were going.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Briarcliff is going to be a scary team to play for the next 2 years.
Yeah, they got a lot of young players.
And they've got a lot of now 2-year starters in the GPAC playing against really, I mean, some of the best teams in the nation in NAIA football.
Morningside.
You got Morningside, Northwestern in there, but then I mean you've got some great football schools in the GPAC, and I don't know how Briarcliff finished up. I don't really care. Wished them luck.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you what, they are going to be really, really, really tough to beat the next couple of years. But I think we're going to do it.
Yes, just before
they're on our schedule.
Labor Day weekend, we rolled into community night, which is, of course, the first home game at Forest City and Bullstor Field. And Waldorf always does such a great job every year bringing the community in. I think that's the first opportunity for some freshmen that are, or transfers to come in and see what a true home crowd looks like.
Yeah.
And I got to say, of course, you always see that's always probably the biggest night as far as attendance goes. For the program. However, it did not really drop off much attendance-wise until we got, maybe Iowa Wesleyan that day. It was a little slim, it was a little colder, a little dreary, but boy, you got through most of the season at home without it. And that was St. Ambrose, the Bees. We won that pretty handily. 33-13, but we didn't start off real strong. In fact, it looked like we were asleep, I think, the first quarter for sure, and really started kind of like figuring it out towards the end of the second half, then came out after halftime and it was over. Like they figured it out, which hopefully they learned from that, because that really didn't – it actually did kind of happen again the following week with Simpson, that they got a slow start, but that it did not last as long as against St. Ambrose.
No, it really didn't. And moving on to Simpson College, came up here on Faculty Staff Appreciation Day on September 10th. Now, let's be honest, it was 54-21.
Yeah.
But
that 21.
If it weren't for Morgan Dostal, it would have been 40-21.
Correct. Yeah, touchdown Dostal. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I mean, whatever.
For sure.
Yeah. So touchdown Dostal. That was his big game, and we visited with him a few weeks ago. But Simpson came to town. Their coach was let go either this week or last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, he's struggled to put together winning seasons. He's a Simpson guy, and obviously wish him luck and hope it goes on. But programs have to make changes. In that conference, there's a lot of competition. They're playing. Luther and Wartburg and BV and Central and, all
a lot of Iowa pride. So you have to, you have to bring it. That's true in any program. Andy, you mentioned he's a Simpson guy. And I think, I noted that with Briarcliff, St. Ambrose, and Simpson, it really is a strong alum coaching faculty. So your coaching staff and everything, there's you see just a ton of previous Bs, from St. Ambrose and Simpson guys from, I think St. Ambrose was the most notorious, and even Briarcliff had several that were, Briarcliff guys. So that is something that we, with the exception of obviously our player coaches, we really don't have that at Waldorf, and that's fine. It's, it's just it's a different, dynamic, I think.
Well, and we don't know what it was like in the past, talking to some of these kids, but we have heard over and over again, these kids from their experience here at Waldorf that they want to go out and coach.
Right.
I think a TD wants to go out and coach, and a lot of them have said that they want to give back to the program. And I don't know if it was like that before, that I want to coach, but and really it's been since the 2016-2017 season that Waldorf started seeing success on the football field again.
Yeah.
With the advent of Coach Littrell, we've really had a lot to, be thankful. And so maybe is it that winning tradition where now we got more kids? So we're going to have to wait some time until you get a kid that's in their, in their early 30s that's been coaching for 4 or 5 years that shows that, hey, I want to come back to Waldorf.
Well, I think big plans for TD, to be honest with you. I think he's going to do really well as a coach. He seems to have the demeanor. We've talked about that a lot. But, if he's 22 years old, maybe 23, fifth-year senior, whatnot, I mean, the reality is that we've got a coach who's our OC, and I think Chase is, 26? I mean, he's mid to late 20s. I mean, he's not that old.
No, he's not.
I think he could be either one of our sons.
Yeah,
because
I have a 26-year-old daughter. You have a
27-year-old.
Yeah. But
so maybe it wouldn't be that long that we get some.
So is he really young or are we really old?
Nah, they're just really young.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, then we're going to move on to our first meeting with Dakota State University.
Mm-hmm.
It was a non-conference game on the 17th of September. Dakota State came to town, and we sent them packing after a 42-17 walloping.
Yes.
And I'm sure that was still pretty fresh on their brains. That was our military first responder appreciation game. We did the special decals on the helmets. And
that was nice.
Yeah, they looked really, really good. So
we'll do that again. I think that's something that people appreciate, and so.
Yeah, we should have enough those decals to go for next year too on the dressing helmets. We'll have to see.
Got a special deal, did we?
Well,
listen, if you buy two gross.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know about that, Troy, but I'll tell you what, it's kind of one of those where over the next the course of the next few weeks or months, somebody in this room gets to go through everything that we got and decide what we need more of.
Okay.
So between knee pads, girdles, mouthpieces. We got to get a bunch of mouthpieces.
Andy, that reminds me of something. I had a note when I went to this conference. I was cleaning. I have one notebook for all notes for all of the different things that I do. And I was like, okay, what is this? And then I reviewed some old notes, and I was like, oh my God. When at some point we had a meeting and we talked about sponsor a helmet. So you could figure out what the cost of a helmet would be, or the maintenance of a helmet, or we just come up with some arbitrary rationale for helmet fee per player. And then you could be, our Gridiron members could, I also sponsor 3 helmets or whatever for X amount of dollars a year.
Yeah, that would be great. The university does provide our helmets right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And let's Speedflex is kind of that's not the newest, but it's one that still, you see that in major college. You see it here at Waldorf. We have some of the old Speeds. That's the one that doesn't have the little hexagon cut out. And then we had 3 players with Axiom, which is a brand new helmet. It's actually custom fit to the player. And it's about $900.
$900 a piece, huh? Yeah. Is it like a TV though? I mean, do those things come down in price? So originally,
I really hope so, because I love the Axiom helmet. I really do. It's not that the other helmets aren't safe. The Speedflexes and the Speeds are perfectly safe helmets, but they just have a lot more features. Just like anything else, like your car, you go out and get buy a '78 Datsun, and that's not as safe as your 2019. Hyundai.
Yeah. So for just $60,000, we could go ahead and outfit our traveling team. If anybody wants to step up with that, that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, we do accept checks. You can mail it to P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa. $60,000. That is all tax deductible.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know, maybe Winnebago Industries, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, with 60,000, might as well make it a cool 100.
I mean, what's the difference if you extend the Warrior logo just a little bit longer on a line that says maybe that looks like a flying W for Winnebago?
I don't know.
Put the little helmet on the line, and it's just a little further out.
I don't know. Yeah, we could talk to Chad Reese about that. Chad, if you're listening, again, P.O. Box 125, $100,000.
Some people have.
We'll mention your name.
Some companies sponsor Formula One. Why not have a company have their own football team?
And we really need to look into that from the Gridiron perspective, is getting some corporate sponsorship. And I know, Pritchard's of North Iowa.
They do a lot. Mm-hmm.
They do a ton for us. Obviously, FCIS does a whole lot, but I don't recall. I mean, Winnebago, obviously they support Waldorf in many ways, but it sure would be nice if they supported the Gridiron Club.
Yeah, well, we'll have to track them down, see what's going on.
I know some people. I got their cell phones.
Yeah.
All right.
If only we could find that factory wherever it's at.
I have no idea.
Well, I guess if you look just south of the football field.
Well, then we went into, we drove out to Big Rapids, Michigan, and faced the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah.
The Ferris State University Bulldogs out there in the frozen tundra. Well, now frozen now. It was nice.
Yeah.
Our kids went out there, and we hung with them for a quarter and a half. It was and let's put a feather in our cap. The score wasn't indicative of how hard our kids played.
Right.
And they took that opportunity to show what they got.
Yeah, their homecoming game turned out pretty well for them. 369. That was the score. We had 3. They had 69. They obviously a very quality program and nice facilities, wonderful facilities. It was I think it was a good trip. I didn't see really anybody hanging their head after that game on the Warrior side. They came back and really pounded presentation into the ground, took out a little of their frustration on the loss prior to that. However, that was a trip that we knew we were going to take. We kind of looked forward to it. It was an incentivized trip, but same token, I don't know if it's necessary or not. That's a long trip for our guys to go. And
it was a long trip, and and again, I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't have done it, because hey, I'll tell you what, that water's way past the bridge at this point.
Yeah.
It was a great experience for the kids, but I guess looking back on the season now, would we have benefited from having that week off? We came back and spanked presentation, but and you never know. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the real point is like, if we were to take our bye week and slap our bye week right in there, at that point, late September, that is we came out and then we won the next 2 games. So presentation really was not a challenge for us. Mayville turned out to be a little bigger challenge than we thought, but came away with a win, 28-21 against Mayville. And that was there. But we had to fight for that game.
Well, that's after the Mayville game. That was our 6th victory on the season. So we're 6-1. That is our 7th game in a row, and we still have another week to go. After Mayville, was it Mayville? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to play.
Yeah,
you go out, then you go right into Dickinson.
Then you go out to Dickinson State. Then you got Valley City, and then you got a week off. So you're playing 9 games in a row.
Yeah.
And then you've had 2 trips that were 12 plus hours traveling, and that's just tough on the kids. That's tough on everybody, because you're a little banged up. And let's be honest, a bus ride anything more than 5 or 6 hours, and you're not going to be fresh.
Well, Andy, that's where the Gridiron Club comes. So we don't control the schedule, and the coaches have their reasons, and the scheduling is what it is. If you want to play Ferris State, you got to play Ferris State when they're available too, and then or any other team like that. So my first hope would be that we could do a better job balancing our bye week. Figuring that out and thinking about that if it's possible. But then, the next thing is on the Gridiron side is like, if we've got to, endure these long trips, which we know we're going to, we need to step up. The university has a budget that for all of their traveling teams, all of them, where they send them out on the road far away. They get a night in the hotel, and they come back. It doesn't matter what your program is. And if you want to have more comfort than that and greater success, we've talked about it before, then we're going to have to pony up for that. And that's the way the cookie crumbles in this league. And so if you're a Gridiron member, we've got a number for you, and we can say, well, it's going to cost a few $1,000s to put them up.
It costs $4 or $5 grand to do an extra
one night.
Yeah,
because there's buses involved and there's food and transportation. The housing. But you know what? It gives them that extra day, that experience. And Waldorf University is not a hard university to work with. They'll definitely let us do that. But we gotta come in for the guys and help them out with that.
Yeah, and we need as much help as we can. We don't have a ton of money in our account. We have things that we want to do because this is about the players. But the thing is, if we can have that extra money, again, maybe we need to look from the Gridiron side, looking at something corporate, and what are they going to get out of it? Well, obviously home game recognition and things like that, like what we do for Pritchard's and Farm and City Insurance right now. But those, because next year Dickinson's going to come down to us.
Yeah.
But then we're going up to Valley.
Yeah.
And now that Valley City's not but it's still a haul.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah. And even Mayville was a pretty long trip as well.
Well, so Dickinson, let's talk about that. Dickinson was the waypoint in our season where we had to win that game. Like rolling into that game, we are 6-1.
That was it.
And we're like, we're going to win. And We did not. We got smoked, and we did not play well, and we had the problems with, that's where, we'd already talked about it. Cooper got his, got dislocated, and and all of these things, and the score ends up being 7-50. And just very disappointing. I can mark, and I know you can't even, but we could say very easily, the 15th of October was the D-Day that didn't, and we did not come out of that the way we needed to, because that was the end of our hopes of going to a playoff game after Dickinson. It didn't. We even if we had beat, I could be wrong, but in this conference, you got to play. You got to be the one that wins, and you can't. Even if we'd beat Valley and we did beat Iowa Wesleyan and beat Dakota State. If you don't beat Dickinson,
we would have needed some help. If
somebody else would have had to beat them, we'd have to win the other two games,
and that didn't happen on Dickinson's schedule. They didn't have some tough opponent. I think they had Presentation. They might have had Dakota State in there, and Dickinson handled them. And it's one of those that, you look at, that program, which is a quality program up there in Dickinson, North Dakota.
Well, that's who you got to beat. If you're going to play, you got to plan to beat them. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And that's always going to be the plan, but you can't look past anybody, but it's like, what do we got to do to beat
one week at a time is the right deal. That's what they always say.
Yep, absolutely.
And so with that in mind, they were doing absolutely everything right, because at that point we're 6-1. We didn't expect to beat Ferris State. So we're like, this is exactly where we need to be. We have no reason to believe that we're not going to beat Dickinson. And then when that happened and we didn't, 7-50, I think that was more crushing. Well, it was 10 times more crushing than Ferris State.
Yeah,
because Ferris State was like, well, we're going out here. It's a learning experience. Let's go see a big stadium. Let's go see a big crowd, even bigger than way bigger than what we're used to. And then you get Dickinson happening and you're like, this sucks. That sucks. And I think that the guys felt bad about that. I think they were a little down, and I think that was reflected in Valley City, which unfortunately on the 27th was our homecoming game.
Yeah, we had to come back from that, and after that trip, we were just flat against Valley. Again, Coop wasn't 100%, obviously, things just didn't go our way.
No,
and it's unfortunate, but it's one of those that that by that time of the season, I have right outside of my little office down in the locker room, the equipment room, essentially. The offensive linemen are just around the corner, and as they're coming in, how you guys doing? And everybody's like, oh, I'll be fine. Just gotta power through.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, they're
and again, like you'd said, we're gonna need some size, some height, and some size on our offensive line,
some depth.
Well, Zach Throne is done.
Mm-hmm.
We still got Logan Miller. We still have Cade Kloster-Hodak. We still got Liam Stone.
We got
Gavin Johnson's out there. We got a lot of experience, but we're going up against guys that have a significant size advantage on us.
Yeah, we need to have some size, and that we have, and then some insurmountable depth, so that they have the ability to rotate and be confident that they can be successful. That's a big ask, because you're also limited with, just every program is limited with their different, inputs and whatnot, but boy, that's what we need.
And when you start getting thin because of injuries and tired, when you start getting thin on numbers, it's not, you can't just do that next man in. Like, hey, look, I've got 11 guys in the stable that all can come in and start for us. I'm going to start these 5, but it's like I got 6 more on the sidelines where you could get that, where you're going to get a little bit of rest. It's not just go and go and go and go. Now, you're always going to put your best 5 out there, at least in the opinion of the coaches. But we need more depth there to be able to do that, to be more successful.
Yeah, and that's tough too, because even if you had depth and you had great guys, and you said, well, we are going to practice. We have a practice of rotation. So like you're a starter, but this guy's like neck and neck with you, and we're going to rotate. You guys are going to be better for it because you're going to get it. Well, even the ego you have to have buy-in to do that, because even if that were the ideal case, you still got to get a young man to buy into the idea that's like, wait a minute, this is what I'm here to do, and I'm only doing it half of the time.
Right. It's about team concept. It's
I agree.
One of those things,
and I think that they would grab that and if you had that.
Well, the right kids will.
Yeah, for right. Yeah.
And so if there's any kid out there listening to this saying, "Well, geez, you want to bring an offensive lineman, you must hate me." No, we love you.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that this is a we, not me.
Yeah. Well,
and the second that you go to me,
yeah,
and you don't flip that M upside down and say this is a we thing. This is about my teammates. This is about everybody doing it for the greater good. And Troy, you know that better than anybody. You already lost.
Yeah.
It's got to be there. There can't be an individual on that field. It has to be 11 units with one goal. And they are, but it's got to be like that from the time that you go into the weight room, the time that you go into the classroom, the time that you step onto the practice field, and the time that you play games. It's got to be about the team. It's the man next to you that matters more than yourself.
Right. I will say, I think that this team rarely broke down on that spirit. They had a great team spirit the entire season. They came into the season with a good attitude. Last spring when we were talking to them just after spring ball, they had a great attitude. They looked forward to this season. All things were good. I think there were a couple moments when they got frustrated towards the end of the season, but it didn't last. And they did hang their head after Dickinson, and I think that showed up at Valley. But the reality is that this is a team that does love one another. All of those senior statements were always about hanging with the guys and their teammates and the friends that they made forever. So, that would be something that, look, I don't even think that it would be that big of a deal. Maybe I'm wrong, but, the linemen, offensive linemen particularly, they look and they see, wait a second now, every time we got a receiver who goes in, runs a play and then comes back out, like they're getting rotated.
Yeah,
so you think
all the time.
You think that the tackle's not going, listen, man, I would be more than happy to rotate, series occasionally. You don't. Sure. Yeah. So
so I'll tell you what. One of the things I get I've got a cousin up near Rochester, Pine Island, Minnesota.
Okay.
She's married to a gentleman by the name of Tony. Tony has a son named Pierce. So it's my cousin's stepson.
Okay.
And Pierce is a big kid.
Okay.
He's taller than all his classmates. His dad's got a big frame on him. He's a big dude as well. And Pierce wants to play college football, but he's in 7th grade at Pine Island Middle School.
Okay.
So Ann sent me, my cousin Ann, love you, Ann, sent me Pierce's football picture from 7th grade.
Yeah.
I went out and bought a frame, and it's in the equipment room. And that's my why. And it's one of those things that everybody needs to understand, that there's a 7th grade kid and there's thousands of them out there.
That's right.
That want to play college football. And the thing is, it's for love of the game, and take yourself back there all the time, because it's Pierce Clennert and his drive and desire to be a college football player. And I'm going to try to help him.
Yeah.
I mean, not like technically, but it's like, hey, go do this, go talk to somebody that they know what's going on, and get in the weight room, get good grades, eat well, get bigger, get stronger, get faster, and get your footwork, technique, and handwork.
Yeah.
So him and his dad and I have talked about that. I've talked about it with Pierce. And hopefully he does that, but it's like, he's going to be in there, because if anybody ever, coach, you see that boy's name is Pierce Clennert. That's the why. That's why we do this, because it's the dream of young men to play college football. And again, Pierce is such a great kid anyway.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to get him a little mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause he's a great kid, and he's a super nice kid, but we got to get him to want to kill people.
That is exactly right. I was just telling that Gary Ludwig, we were saying, you see some great big guys, and they're so, they've got size 15 shoes. They're 310 pounds. They're 6'7", and they're just the softest, friendliest, nicest guys. And can you just for like 5 hours today, can you just want to murder somebody? Can you do that? The rest of the time you can be a big teddy bear.
The guy across from you, I want you to try to kill him, but then pick him up.
Come on. Yeah.
Pick him up. Say, hey. Yeah. Exactly. I love you, bro.
Yeah.
That was a good effort that time.
I will love him and hug him and call him George. Yeah, I think that's what we need. That's right.
All right.
Well, Andy, I think we know how we ended with.
We sure do.
Talk about Iowa Wesleyan.
Well, thank God we beat them. Otherwise, I'd be eating a bunch of.
But we just barely did. I felt like we were the Hawkeyes for a hot minute there.
Got her done.
Yes, we did. And Dakota State, we already know. So we know the coaches are out on the road. We reviewed the season. I guess, what do you look forward to? So like I said, I think, the 23 season started on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to getting better. I'm looking forward to bringing in new kids and showing them what we have here in Forest City and at Waldorf University. I'm looking forward to getting to know them. I'm looking forward to getting to know the kids that we have here now even better, bringing them on this podcast and talking to them. And then me, just from a personal level, creating those relationships, to be able to say to a kid after the game, give them a hug and say, I am so proud of you and I love you, man. And know that I actually mean it. It's not just this, I am so proud of you, I love you, I am so proud of you. No, I love these guys.
Christmas is coming. It's the next holiday. My favorite holiday actually is Thanksgiving, so I'm looking forward to that next week. And I want to wish everybody a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving. The Warrior program has a lot to be thankful for. We've had a lot of great players. We've had fantastic parents. We've got so thankful for our Gridiron members and for all of the folks that have made such an impact on our program this year and in the years prior as we continue to get better. So I guess that's a good way to wrap it up. I do look forward to the 23 season and getting better, just like you said, getting to know the kids. And when I say Christmas is coming, it's fun to know what it is that we think that they need, and as a Gridiron Club being able to provide that and say, ta-da, Merry Christmas, here's some stuff that you needed. So I guess that's how I want to wrap it up. And again, very, very thankful year. We came away from this season. I guess the most important thing is we came away from it with a lot of wonderful young men, several of whom are going to graduate, who are going to hold Waldorf in their hearts. But they're also, we do have some injuries. Maybe there'll be some surgery, but the reality is that everybody walked off that field.
Yes.
We've got everybody in the right pieces that they're supposed to be in. And they might be a little sore right now, but they're ready to get right at it.
It's going to get better. Well, very well put, Troy. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Podcast. For Troy Thompson, this is Andy Buffington, and forever and always, go Warriors. You can join the Waldorf Gridiron Club today by sending a check to the Waldorf Gridiron Club, P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa, 50436.
Or message us by visiting and like our Facebook page, Waldorf Gridiron Club. Or email us at waldorfgridironclub@gmail.com.
Or it's as easy as clicking on the Support the Show link on your phone. Become a patron of the Gridiron Club by choosing to support the program monthly. $100 is the black membership at $9 a month.
The $250 level is purple at $25 a month.
$500 is the Warrior membership at $45 a month.
The all-conference level is $750 or $65 a month.
$1,000 is the All-American membership at $85 a month.
The champion level is $125 a month, and that's $1,500 a year.
$2,500 is the Hall of Fame membership.
The Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast is hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson. Produced by Sunnyside Farmstead Studios in beautiful rural Forest City, Iowa. The music is by Christian Leo. The Waldorf Gridiron Club is a non-profit 501c3 organization dedicated to football student-athletes of Waldorf University. Our mission is to assist the program in maintaining the best small college football experience in America.